Doug Hansgate here. I'm doing a really quick video of a composite for an article that I've written in print for the Photographer magazine. And I thought that it would be beneficial to have a little video to go along with that so people can watch actually the steps as I do them in videos. So with no further ado, let's kind of jump into that thought process. So what we have here is I have a image of this young girl, and if you look, you'll see that if I were to actually, I'm just going to hit Command Z here. I hit the wrong button. If I actually were to go ahead and make an adjustment on this and go ahead and say, look, let's just put a curves layer on here, you'll see that underneath her, she's jumping on a small trampoline. And these trampolines are terrific for studio because they really kind of give us the ability to have this girl have some fun. We get great expressions, and at the same time, I get the hand movement that I want, the body position that I want, and I'm using continuous lights for my separation. And the other reason is that I'm able to shoot fairly rapidly and shoot in high speed mode if I want. I can shoot 12 frames a second if I wanted to get just the right image that I'm looking for. So no further ado, I am going to just take this lower layer and I'm going to hit Command or Control J to duplicate it. And then because I've done a nice job of that separation light on that black field, black background, I can just select subject. And you'll see that our subject grabs very easily because of that separation light, that rim light that we have on there. So I'm going to just come over to this layer and I'm going to put a mask on. Now we still see the background layer, so the background layer is there. Now what I want to do is I want to think about putting a wing on her, a set of wings. Now I use Adobe stock images all the time. I like Adobe stock, but you can use whatever image source you want. I am going to just look under my Enchanted Dream folders, and this happens to be, is it a cicada? There's cicada wings that I'm going to drop, and I think I'm going to use this set here and just drop them in. So I have a set of wings that I can use, and they're nice and colorful, and we can just drop those into it like that. And just hit Enter or hit Done so that the wings are in place. Now the wings themselves are on a white background, so the easiest way to get rid of that would be to do a blend if and just kind of do my layer and maybe feather that layer a little bit. Control Option or Alt Option, split that apart so I got a little bit of a feathering, and I'm just looking to try to make certain that my wings are in good shape, but I'm not getting any of that background in play. So maybe somewhere in there is decent. So now I'm just going to hit OK. Now the trick is that I want the wings behind her, right? Well, I already have over here, I already have a selection of my little girl, so I can just hit Command or Control and click on that. It brings back my selection back. And then I'm going to go to my wing layer, and I'm going to simply put another mask on my wing layer. Now it's the reverse of what I want, so I could double click on it and just invert it in the Properties window. And there's the wings on behind my little girl. Now, one of the tricks is watch this little lock here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock that. And when I unlock that and I hit my V tool to go back to my pointer tool, I can now select my wings, and I can move my wings around freely behind my little girl to put them wherever I want. Now, once they're there, I can also just hit Command T, and I can rotate the wings, and say, look, let's give them a little bit of an angle, maybe not quite that much, but let's give them a little bit of an angle. I could also warp them if I wanted to, right click and warp and say, let's make this wing a little bit smaller, and let's make this wing a little bit bigger. Let's maybe open this wing up a little bit on this side, and then just say done. So now I have the wings and I have my little girl on its own layer. I'm going to just take and relock that over here so that that's locked in place, and I'm content with where it is. Now let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is get another background to put in the background of this image. So I'm going to go back over to my library, and this time I'm going to come down and maybe grab a, I have lots of little backgrounds that I have grabbed, you know, over some time, and some stock images and things that I like. Some are rasters, some are castles, some are you know, things that I thought would be interesting for doing, you know, doing composites. And I just want to find the same image that I used for my article. So I'm just dragging it in place. I'm stretching it out. And I'm going to just make it a little bit bigger over here, a little bit wider. And just kind of say OK. So I hit enter. I'm going to hit Command minus to zoom out a little bit. And there's my background. I need to drag it down below my young model now, right? So we now have this going on, and that's okay. There's a couple problems with it. One would be the fact that maybe what I ought to do is put these into its own group, and then in that group say Command T, and let's just downsize this young girl so that she's a little more appropriate size for this scene, for this background. And I'm just going to hit enter and let that go. Now, one of the things you need to do is when you're going to do a composite, you need to sell the fakes, so to speak, right? So what I'm going to do is come back over to this selection, and I'm going to hit Command and click on that selection. And then I'm going to say Edit, Fill. And what I want to do is create a new layer before I do that edit fill. So I'm going to just put a new layer up in here. And I'm going to say Edit Fill again. And I'm going to fill it with black. And the reason is that I need to sell the fact that she's there, right? So I'm going to Command D and deselect that. And then I'm going to come over and I'm going to right click and convert this to a smart object. And the reason I want to convert it to a smart object is that I want to be able to transform this and do some blending with it and blurring with it. So first of all, let's just hit Command T on that layer now. And I want to take and probably just do a little bit of a rotation, bring her out here, maybe do a right click and say distort, and pull that shadow out here so that it is a little more in position of where it would be if the light was coming in here. It's going to project that shadow back into the corner, and I'm just going to hit enter from that. Now I'm going to come up to filter. I am going to say blur, Gaussian blur, and I'm going to blur that shadow out quite a bit. Now it depends on how harsh your light is, how much of a blur you want to put on there. Maybe I want to just cut it back just a touch because it is pretty harsh light on her face, so maybe something like that. Now that's kind of working, except that again it's over the top of her and we need to hide that, right? So a couple ways of doing it. We could just create a mask. So if I come back to this little mask down here, and I hold Command or click, I can get my subject back on, come back up to this layer, which is my shadow, right? And now just apply a new mask. So the new mask is the inverse of what I want, which is fine, just invert it. And you see now my little girl is in front of that shadow. And all I really need to do now is take this layer and say, look, maybe if I just reduce the opacity of that so that it's not quite so harsh, that would be good. All right. Now I can do the wings as well. I could block the wings out, but the wings are so faint that it probably wouldn't affect that light too much. And it just makes for an interesting, I'm going to hit Command plus and look at this fun little image that we created very, very quickly. And this is the type of thing that I think is just an easy sell for both kids, moms, and whatever. What I would do is probably do a little bit of work on the background. So what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to just come down here and say, look, let's put a curve on it. And on the RGB channel, I think I'm going to give it a little more contrast and give it a little bit more of a nighttime shot. And then I'm going to go to my red channel. And on the red channel, I'm probably going to open up just a little bit of reds to it, just to give it a little bit more of that that kind of castle feel to it, right? I could adjust the color on her a little bit as well. But again, this was 5-minute primer on how to do a quick composite, how to make money at it, and hopefully you will enjoy that. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye, and hopefully you learned something from this little demo, and hopefully you got a chance to read that article. Have a great day.